Dear friends, owners, or future owners of QiCYCLE, are you sure you know 100% the differences between the Chinese version and the international version with Jane? What is the best choice to buy? Come with me to my garage, Pimp my QiCYCLE, and you'll find out. I forgot. Stay connected, then we'll see some extra accessories for our beloved bicycles. Let's start with a brief news, which you may have already heard, read or see. It seems to be arriving in the European market, precisely at the Xiaomi stores, the international version of QiCYCLE, at a price, at least as seen in photos, of €899. We'll see if this really is. But let's get back to us. Differences. Nothing special, as you are seeing on the screen, they are practically identical. Calling them twin is reductive. What's different? Yes, slightly the height between the two, maybe, but only just a little bit. Of course I'm joking. This is a playful montage, which I designed for the intro. Now let's get serious again, and start again with the differences. Both are closed in the same way, and until here we are. And even if at first sight they look the same, think that both have two wheels each. After all, it is the same bike, but looking at it from closer, there are many differences. The first difference, the most visible from these two images, is height. Both voluntarily have been set to the maximum excursion possible, precisely to highlight the height of the two. Obviously the highest is the international. Let's take a step back with this little premise. Stop, just ask the question, better EF-1 or TDR01Z? It makes no sense. Both are EF-1, and both are TDR01Z. Once you have learned this, let's continue with the reading of the two different labels. Same voltage for the battery, 36 volts 42 volts. The Chinese version presents the Bluetooth available, the international version is not active, but you can reactivate it with a special clip. I'll leave the video here in the upper right for those interested. Another difference is in the symbol CE. I did not understand if it means China export. In any case, on the international it is present directly in the sticker, while on the China version they applied it later. But let's move on with order. As for the display, which we will turn on in a while, the main difference is the brand. QiCYCLE for the China version, while the international presents the MI logo of Xiaomi. Another difference is the position of the world, while in the international it is an opposite side, a side of the exchange. Much uglier and awkward in the international version. Another difference, always in the brake levers, is the presence of sensors in the international version. Come see this image. In fact, there will be two cables to exit each brake lever. Instead we find the same knobs, and the same gear lever in all versions. Another difference, are always concerning the brake levers, is the inversion of the left and right lever in the China version. If you look carefully at this photo, in fact, you will notice that the front brake in the China edition will be controlled by the right lever, while in the international version it will be operated by the left lever. Exactly how we are used in all common bicycles. The operation to reverse the two levers is however very simple, and we will see it together shortly. It is no coincidence that the logo in the handlebar stem is also different. The international is higher, then we are going to measure it in a very short time. While for the fairlead, passing in both cases with 4 cables, it is the same. On both versions we'll have the TheMiguelBi logo. The difference will be found on the international version. The display cable, in fact, will triple, escaping the 2 cables of the brake sensors. What do these 2 brake sensors need? Simple. When the brake levers are pressed, the engine will immediately shut off, thus saving a little energy. In the China version, however, the engine will only switch off if you stop pedaling, using only the pedaling sensor. And if you have not yet understood the difference, I bring you a practical example. Stop at the traffic light, press brakes, you are ready to shoot the green, then with your foot on the pedal in position to start. Here, the difference will be noticed here. In the China version, you'll hear the engine that already starts to push with small taps, while in the international this will not happen, because you are keeping the engine at bay thanks to the brake lever. As soon as the brake lever with sensor is released, it will be immediately ready to start and also take the international version. Closed brake sensor brackets. Let's continue. As for the front brake, there is no difference. You will find the same type of brake on both. A big difference is in the pedals. Mostly plastic on the China version, while completely metal on the international. Logically they go in pairs, so both on the right and the left pedal. €5 approximately is the difference between these two pairs of pedals. If you are interested in the metal version of the international, you can buy it for around €15. Obviously both closable to save a little space during transport. More sensors equal more cables. And that's why the international version at the center of the frame is a jungle of cables and connectors. As we have already said, the battery is the same in both versions, 36 volts, 42 from fully charged, and an amperage of 5.8 amperes. Here the only differences in the decals. The China version is marked, while the international is minimal. Same on the opposite side. As for chain and chain tendons are the same on both. For the chain it is an economic single-speed, KMC. Even the Shimano Nexus 3-speed rear gearbox, we find it identical on both. The same applies to the pedal sensor, model SP, 1023A, and Shimano drum brake, super economical model, BR, I'm31. I dwell in another detail, which many ask, how tires are inflated. Well, the answer is not unique to everyone. It is a subjective decision, and will depend mainly on the weight of those who will use it. The data you are now viewing in the video is fun, because at the same wheel diameter, 16 inches, and wheel size, 1.75, on the CST tires of the Chinese version is reported a pressure from 2.4 bar to 3.1 bar, while on the Duro tires of the international, the values shown are from 2.5 bar up to 4.5 bar, 1.4 bar of difference. Not a few. I say that a 3 bar should be fine for most of you. Another detail easily identifiable in the presence of the easel on the international compared to the Chinese, which is devoid of it. The circles are instead differently marked. MudGuard on Chinese, while MI logo on the international. In addition, the international version is fitted with tires that include a special reflective edge on the shoulder of the same. Both have the reflectors fixed on the spokes of the wheels, and have the same magnet to ensure grip once closed. As for the mudguards, we will not find them on the China version, nor on the international version. The only version that provided them was the previous international version, the first one. The belt provided in place of the chain, and a jungle of cables in the handlebar to be clear. Therefore, if you want to buy them, you'll have to do it separately. I told you about mudguards, just to introduce you to this other difference, the rear fender fixing bracket. As you are seeing, in the international frame the welded frame has an additional bracket, which otherwise you will have to install separately if you own a China version. This bracket is almost always included in the various fender kits. Pay attention to the kit you want to buy, if you are a Chinese version. Saddle and saddle pole are different. The Chinese presents MudGuard logo, and is equipped with a saddle, Cell Royal, model Shadow Plus, made in Italy, while the international version has a saddle tube marked MI, and a saddle, no brand, total black and anonymous, probably cheaper, ma. The drawing in the tires is as follows, more marked in the China edition, but once the saddle poles are removed, metered in hand, and we measure exactly 56 centimeters for the pole of the China version, and 66 centimeters for the pole of the international, for a total of 65 centimeters of China, against the 75 of the international 10 centimeters difference. While for the stem of the handlebar, starting with the measurement just below the steering bearings, we would have a height of 40 centimeters for the China version, while we measure 46 centimeters for the international. Even here, a good 6 centimeters difference. The international version will already arrive with the charger plug in the European standard, nothing that cannot be remedied with a 50-cent adapter. The only difference is in the terminal plug, Chinese or European. While for the feeder itself, In addition to the text written in English rather than in Chinese, we find the possibility for the International to supply it to the voltage of 100 volts and 60 Hz. In Italy this is irrelevant, and both are fine. 65 grams of weight difference between the two, this to confirm what has just been said. On both moreover, more or less, there is written, warning, keep dry, disconnect the power before connecting or disconnecting the battery, keep away from flames or sparks, and ensure adequate ventilation while charging. Read the instructions before use, for internal use only. While for the display, at the startup different logos will be displayed. The hardware is identical, so the start, response and shutdown times will be identical. Clearly in Chinese for the Chinese version, while we find English for the international version. The first substantial differences are Bluetooth and time deactivated in the international, right pane. If you notice, the options available in the menus are also different. In the international there are only 3, info, summary, and setting. The missing window is the QR code, which will help us to connect the bike to the application in our smartphone. As soon as the display is on, remaining in an immobile position, we will display the assistance level between off, eco mode, normal mode, or boost plus mode. These modes, I remember, are selectable with the 2 fremits only if you are in motion. At the bottom, however, we will read the charge status of our battery. Moving down the window will display the total kilometers traveled with your QiCYCLE, as well as the kilometers made today, and the estimated calories consumed. These last 2 values will remain daily. Going down one more with regard to the China version, you will see the QR code for a possible quick association with your smartphone. The last option below will concern the bike sectarians instead. Press the on/off button to enter the menu. Here we find an addition in the display, this time in the international, delete user data. We always talk about the partial values, and not the total kilometers, of course. For the rest of the menu, they are identical. See the left display, the backlight time is shown, 30 seconds, 1 or 2 minutes. Back. By now I have also learned Mandarin Chinese. Back. Back. And turn off the display with yes. In any case, whether you have the Chinese version in Chinese, or you have the international in English, with this simple clip you can translate the text in several other languages. In fact, these 2 different versions just seen now speak both Italian. The 2 displays have now become identical, including the appearance of clock and Bluetooth in the international version. Also, when you turn it on and off it will now display this pretty color Xiaomi logo. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. In conclusion, although I love the China version, this one I own, and those who follow me in my videos already know, the international version is to be preferred. In fact, it has only pro compared to the China version. Let's start from the height. The China version is suitable for a 1 meter and 74 centimeters tall user, as I am, not more. With the saddle almost at the maximum excursion, we are really at the limit. All those who exceed the meter and 75, meter and 80, absolutely have to opt for the international 100% metal pedals. He has a tripod, integrates brake sensors for engine stop, charger with European plug, display in English. Clearly, the final choice will also be influenced by the price you find at the time of purchase. 200 euros of difference are not absolutely justified, a 50 euro instead absolutely yes. In addition, I recommend, if the height is not a problem, to buy the cheapest, and with the difference saved rather by some extra and essential accessory, as a central movement in metal and with good ball bearings, rather than an efficient and safer brake, on a more comfortable saddle and in line with your daily journey, or something else we'll see right now. Follow me in my garage, Pimp my QiCYCLE. We immediately start with 2 simple products, kindly given free by Banggood. The first will be a protective, waterproof canvas, perfect to repair your bike from rain, snow, or from simple dust on days of inactivity, while the second gadget will be a easel. Yes, a simple easel. There must also be something else, but we'll see them better soon. Let's start from the international. For her, I chose this simple and useful accessory. What is it? Of course, a fantastic Hawaiian bread basket. We will find it inside a kit with fixing hook, sheet with assembly instructions in Chinese English, in addition to 2 plastic supports to stiffen and keep the basket in shape. That will be entered exactly, one on this side and the remaining on the opposite side. Ta-dan, and here is the basket in all its splendor, ready to contain the daily shopping, bread, and what you want. Its installation is very simple. This will be the hook to be placed on the handlebars of the bike. 4+4 will be the thicknesses included in the kit, to adapt to any handlebar diameter, as well as the hexagonal key needed for the installation. You will not need anything else. First, unscrew the 4 screws and open the bracket. More or less the bracket will be placed here, at this point. Now we insert the necessary thicknesses. 2 will go on this side, while the remaining 2 on this side. Okay, we are ready for the coupling. We hold the bracket with the forward-facing release lock, and tighten the screws. Not being a normal bicycle with a pipe that helps to keep this bracket steady, it could happen that by loading some weight in the basket it rotates slightly forward. Align the bracket well to the center, and finish tightening the 4 screws. Remember to always close them to X. Perfect. Open, close, open, close, open, close. It will now be enough to place the basket from above and tighten the block. Perfect. The basket is ready, firm, and in position. And if Hawaiian rose impacts your masculinity, there is also a more sober, black version. In this case the user wanted it pink, and then we go back to pink. What else to say? It is a nice large basket, with a nice useful volume, perfect for a photo shoot in the hills. Not suitable for excessive weight. In addition, frontally there is a practical pocket, while inside there is a second time with zip closure. Soon I will do some testing of the basket. In case the basket moves forward, as I forecast, a band of electricians placed around the stem of the handlebar here, with this screw inside, will solve the problem at its root, sure. And to keep our QiCYCLE sheltered from the sun and dust, this protective plastic cover is ideal. In size L, it will perfectly cover the entire bike, including also a possible basket, as in this case, or rear luggage rack. Et voila! And with the international we have finished, but stay with me for a few more minutes to find out what the Chinese version will do to him. We begin immediately with the installation of the tripod. To do so, I will use M5 screws, with hexagonal head carving, rounded, then colored with a black paint to make them very similar to the originals. A 3mm Allen key, together with a lot of patience, will be essential to fix everything. Also, if you opt for my own screws, I highly recommend these special inserts. The spherical end makes it possible to operate with an inclination up to 30 degrees with respect to the axis of the screw, allowing us to save time and ugly curses. Prop H3, find the link in the description. Caution: since the frame has been painted, all screw threads will be compromised. So let's prepare the frame with a simple trick to avoid hitting the screw. Good. We will only need to use one of the same size but with a hexagonal head. Easier to insert and remove with a simple crick and tube insert. Just screw this screw down almost to the end, and then unscrew it completely. Repeating also for the second hole next door. In doing so, we will have paved the way for the new more delicate screws. Once screwed almost to the end, simply remove it, repeating this operation also in the other hole. Done. Now the fillet is clean and we are ready to proceed with the installation. We therefore prepare the H3 spherical insert. Mounted on a screwdriver will be fine. It will suffice to bring the new stand into position. Insert the two definitive screws with your hand for a few turns. Thanks to this special insert, we tighten the two screws until we succeed. It will save us a lot of time, making it easier for us to fix it. Then finish the last few laps with the traditional Allen wrench. And we are now ready to use the tripod, finally stopping where we want. Open. Close. When closed, it rests on the brake screw, but does not collide with any other moving part, therefore 100% compatible with QiCYCLE. Using painted screws, you won't even notice the difference with the original QiCYCLE screws. Slightly more bulky and less graceful than the original, but certainly cheaper. He does his job equally. Promoted upgrade. But now let's move on to my purchases, bought from my own pocket just for you. What other upgrades will this Chinese undergo? Definitely a metal bottom bracket, aluminum, this time anodized in light blue, a pair of flat metal pedals, cheap but functional, just to eliminate the plastic originals. Then we will see step by step how to give a further colored touch to our beloved bike, replacing sheaths and brake cables, extending them a little in anticipation of raising the handlebars by a few centimeters, and with the occasion reversing the right brake lever with the left. A pair of pulleys with 11 teeth, strictly blue, will give a touch of color to the bike, restoring greater fluidity to the chain. Ending with the last upgrade, this time in security. A pair of new skates for the front brake, with a softer compound for stopping brakes. All this for less than €40. Find all the links for the purchase in the video description. Therefore, in the next episode you will see the installation of all these components illustrated on the screen. Subscribe to the channel to always be notified as soon as the video is published. Click here at the top right to continue with the video. Everything is for this episode too. I greet you with some pictures, and I hope to see you again at my next video. I forgot, we conclude with bad news. It seems that Xiaomi is eliminating the Bluetooth module from its international QiCYCLEs. First he had done it only via software, and it is easily reactivated with the use of the clip. Now he seems to be missing physically. This is a real shame. We should proceed with the purchase and installation separately. We'll see. I thank you for your vision.
Ciao.